Welcome to the Sober and Wellness Podcast. If you're a businesswoman seeking to elevate your life and unlock your full potential, you are in the right place. I am your host, Abigail Padro, and I am passionate about helping you achieve your next level. We will dive into honest conversation about sobriety, how faith can be a powerful anchor. My goal is to empower you to become the best version of yourself and excel in business, relationship, and beyond. Let's embark in this journey together, and I will provide you the tools and inspiration you need to live an alcohol-free life. Hey friends, welcome back to the Sober and Wellness Podcast. I am your host, Abigail, and today I'm very excited because I have a special guest, Peter Baylis, who is sharing today his story about how it's been in his journey with being alcohol-free. So I want to start by saying Peter and I already know each other for at least, I would say, a year and a half. So I'm super excited. He has an amazing story to help anyone out there that is considering this journey. So with any further ado, here is Peter. Welcome, Peter.
Hi, Abby, Babby, Bo, Babby. What's happening? Thanks for having me. This is exciting. It's exciting.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Welcome. Well, let's start. Let's just dive in. We're going to start
Sure, go ahead.
Basically, can you paint us a picture of what life looked like for you before you decided to embark, your sobriety journey?
Okay, you got a few hours? You're just gonna okay. How does this start? This starts I'm 62, everybody. I've been drinking. I started drinking probably when I was 13. So it was a very bumpy ride. Like in the early days of, sure, let's have some fun and drink. But, I'll spare you a lot of stuff along the line. But as I got further into, say, 30s and 40s, I noticed that drinking and behaviors were becoming a little too, I call them episodic, because I became an angry kind of drinker. I don't want to say angry drunk, because it's like when I drank, I wasn't always drunk. It would get there, of course, but my mood would fluctuate so much, and my wife, my partner would say to me, and even friends would say to me, and I never really listened to them. Like, it took a while, but now I know exactly what they're talking about with the benefit of hindsight. They would say things like, "Are you all right? You don't seem like you. You're a different guy." And like when you're hearing that at about 30, 38, 40 years old, you're going, what the hell are they talking about? What the hell are they talking about? And then upon reflection, and I'm talking, like, again, from now a macro look from an outside looking into it. So I didn't know, and I was in denial about that shit. As people that use alcohol quite a bit, or any kind of substance, you will reach the point where denial is part of your life. Like, we're afraid to confront what it could possibly be, right? We've all talked about how alcohol or substance abuse is a symptom of a bigger problem. So through more discovery and working on myself and seeing professional help and our big reframe group and all that, I was able to ascertain things about my mental health that I had no idea that was contributing to why I wanted to disappear. We all use terms like that, folks. Disappear, numb out, don't face reality. So I've had episodes where I would put myself up against the wall with my wife and my daughter, bad situations, but not learning, because, people with substance abuse, this is called alcohol use disorder, right? It's called, because there's nothing in the medical field says alcoholic, or alcoholism. It's alcohol use disorder. Mine was binge drinking. One is 40, I'm done. Anyway, so over time, it took a long time for me to really have it hit home that, okay, this is a problem. This is really, really a problem. In trouble with the law a couple times, making bad decisions in life. I owned my own bar. That's incredible, having a problem with alcohol and owning your own bar. So I had my very own personal bar for years, so that doesn't help anything. So alcohol and I had a relationship for quite a while, and it went south. And I had to break up with it because it was going to kill me. When I say that, I mean, the decision to keep drinking was going to kill me. Like, you can't blame the alcohol. You always got to blame the person. You don't fall into a vat of alcohol. we make the decision to continue to use it. But I had been running with the law, a DUI. This was December of, oh my God, man, I can't go back. Was that 2024? Yeah, because it was a year. So end of January, I think, December 24. Yeah, and because I'm almost 18 months after that conviction, the charge and the conviction. Those are two different things. I got charged in my house because somebody followed me home, which in Canada they can do. And they have 2 hours. If somebody sees you driving, you have 2 or 3 hours where the cops can come to your house. So that's what happened to me.
Wow.
And in that, so they came to my house, they busted me, they zip tied me. They threw me down, they carried me down the driveway by the back, behind my back, and threw me in the back of the cop car. Then once we got to the police station, they threw me on that metal slab of a bed, what they call a bed. It's a bench. But that whole thing, even though all the other things that I had in my life going on, that I knew I had done bad things with alcohol, it was this one in particular where I was in that cell, and I was 61 at the time, and I looked at, there's a mirror there in that cell, and I looked at myself in the mirror with, they can recording everything, I'm sure, but I was bawling my eyes out, talking to myself, going, what the F am I doing? Like, what are you doing? You're 61-year-old. You're an old man now. What are you doing? Like, this is, not only is it demoralizing and embarrassing, but it's also, it's illegal, and it's a criminal record, and it's bad. So my neighbors saw me being carried down the driveway. The cops were really manhandled me, and then hitting that metal slab. Like, that metal slab is now a metaphor. Bam! I woke up. And the next day, I've been on the recovery journey. Like, I've had stops and starts, right? You know all about this, and I'm just going to repeat myself to you. I had like a year and a half sober, 6 months sober, 3 months sober, like fits and spurts over 6 years. Because that's how bad a time I was. That was never really coming to terms with how bad it was in my life. But that particular incident was, I know we use the term rock bottom. Rock bottom's a moving target, but for me, quite honestly, that put the nail in the coffin for me. That's it. No more alcohol.
Yeah.
You are gone. And then the journey begins, as you know.
You will say that that moment was the point that you're like, holy moly, I do have a problem. Or did you started
I
seeing
knew I had
patterns before?
Yeah, I knew I had an issue, right? I knew there was a problem. I didn't know how severe a problem, right? And even now, looking back and bringing out incidents and episodes in my memory, I don't know if you experienced these. Like, I was a bad drinker, bad behavior while I was under the influence. And I can go back and go, why the hell didn't I know then? How come I didn't know then? How come I didn't know then? Like, the fights with my partner and all that. She even said, like, after I got more into the recovery aspect of it all, like 100% into it, she's like, why this time? Why is this time so different? Because I had been, done some horrible things, said some horrible things to her, right, under the influence, where she kicked me out and all this stuff. You'd think that getting kicked out of your house once or twice would be rock bottom, but it wasn't, right? There's still love. There's still a lot of love between my wife and I, so she wasn't ready to throw it all away. She used the term, "You're just not the Peter I know when you're drinking," and that sat with me. So she used to say, I want to see the Peter that I know again. And for the past, oh God, what is it now? 15 months straight, 16, 15 months of consecutive sober days. It's like, she said to me several times, there's the Peter I know. There's the one that I met and fell in love with. There's the there's the rational, smart human being. I mean, we all still have issues in life, right? But now I don't have to run and hide from issues. That's what we realized on this journey. I know you and I talking to you, but you and I've talked so much. So I know you have an audience, but I'm like, you've heard this before.
It's for everyone.
When you're peeling back all this stuff, you uncover things, and it's gonna be painful if anybody's listening. You're gonna run into things that are gonna be, oh my gosh, that hurts. But that's that's the learning moment. I've had enough of those to go, okay, if I can get over that memory and knowing that wasn't me, right? Because what's the cliche or the adage? You know, it's not the fall that defines you. It's how you pick yourself up and move on. Is what defines you. And from that incident, to go rewind right back to then, this is the one where I picked myself up off the ground, completely dusted myself off, and went, "That's it. It's either that, or I would lose everything." Even when I came out of the jail cell the next day from the getting charged, I was like, "I'm losing everything." I thought it was going to come, and she was just going to kick me out. She did. She pressed a pause. She didn't talk to me for a couple of weeks, but I was still going, "This is it. I'm over. It's over. I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose my." But no, let's just work on yourself, Peter. You can work on it. So I went more intensively into my therapist appointments and dug really into this reframe that all Reframe has to offer, and opened up to the community with you and everybody else that we all. And it's just been, so that was a culmination of a lot of bad things came to a head on that one evening.
Wow.
If you were really dig down and look at my life, like I just said, my wife said, "Why this time? You were bad like 3 or 4 times before this. Why this time?" Well, you don't know why? The only answer is it sat in the cradle of my soul this time. It was like, this is it. It's got to go. It's got to go.
Yeah,
Then
that's a powerful, being in jail. I'm claustrophobic, so I can never do
well,
anything.
listen,
Huh?
I was terrified. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was terrified.
Yeah, that
I
has
was
to
like,
be a dark, dark moment, and then you're like
I thought
getting
it
out
was,
of that funk.
yeah, and I don't want to be that heavy for people, but because I setting it up in the past, because I had moments before, I didn't know what was going to happen in my life after that incident because it was really bad. I was thinking, I can't, I can't go on in life. Like those were the thoughts that I was having from that night. I can't. I'll be better off the planet. Sorry, that's the nicest way I'm going to say it, right? I had those thoughts, like, and then that was those thoughts too that made me go, "No, man, no, 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 no. It's not that. That's not the solution either. The solution is find the reason, learn as much as you can about yourself, learn about as much as you can about it all, like why it's such a demon in people's lives, and try to grow from it." I think I've come a long way from that particular night.
Yeah. You have, I remember when you started, and to see the Peter that you are right now, it's really marvelous to say the least. But I like what you touched right now in reference to basically, suicidal thoughts. And the reason I'm bringing it up to our listeners is because we have heard many stories, right? And it's a reality. Sometimes, alcohol is a depressant. So even though it gives you a
Mhm.
false, like a little fun, then the aftermath, sometimes I think like how many people might act on, they already acted on it, right? In something because of the
Mhm.
alcohol. And I just think that it's that we have to bring more awareness, because look, I'm glad you didn't do that. You are an amazing human being. You pour a lot of your knowledge. You even got certified as a recovery coach just because you want to help people in this journey. And who better to help that person that drank for so many decades, right? Because I did too. I
Yeah.
drank for 2 decades, and that's a long time of having a
But
drinking career.
you know what they say, those that have the experience know the best, right? Like
Yeah.
we know how we know if you dig down, we always got to remember this when I'm talking to people. It's like we know it's different for everybody, and when you make the decision, be prepared. Prepare yourself for a rough ride from the get-go.
Mhm.
The thing that you realize is that you don't know everything, and that's when real wisdom kicks in, right? It's that old, I think it's Plato adage where he says, you know, real wisdom kicks in when you realize you don't know everything.
Mhm.
That's when you become, and you think you do while you're drinking. That's the thing, right? You think you know everything. You think, okay,
Mhm.
I'm fine. I can do this. Like when I stopped and started, I was like, because when I hit that wall, I was 130 days when that particular consecutive at that particular night. Decided, yeah, I can do this. No, man, you can't. No, some of us out there, no, you can't. And that little voice, that's when you know you're not. The wisdom's not there yet. even though it should be, but for everybody it's different. And the chemical stuff that happens, all the chemical stuff that happens in your brain that will fool you. And like one thing that I want to say is, like I said, it kind of touched on it, but it was came out with a therapist. He's a psychiatrist, and at the day I was sitting in his office, I just kind of went, "Yeah, you know what? I'm just not going to do it anymore. I can feel it this time." He said, he looked at me in the eye and said, "I see it, Peter. It's finally sitting in the cradle of your consciousness. I can hear it in your voice." So I always refer to that. It sit right in the cradle that I don't need it. It doesn't need me, right? And now it's like I don't identify, like, how you were talking about this the other day, and like when you said you had an experience with AA. I would never identify as an alcoholic. I just would never. I could never say that. No, I
Mm-hmm.
had an alcohol use disorder. And so because of that, I'm not going to walk around identifying as a sober person. Why bother? I just choose not to drink. Alcohol's not in
Mm-hmm.
my life. It doesn't mean hi, my name's Peter and I'm sober. Like, you don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's, I'm, I'm just now Peter.
Yeah.
It's like, that's who I
Yeah, you
am.
shifted your
Do
identity.
you want to
You're a
drink?
non-drinker, basically,
Yeah, that's it. And how many times have you been out now where it's right beside you and somebody offers you and you got to go, no, no, thanks. And some people react kind of strange to that. But I think I think it's slipping away now a little bit more and more. You don't have to explain yourself like you used to. Like, come on, have a
Mm-hmm.
drink. No, I don't drink. Why don't you drink? Did you have a problem? Well, yeah. And now that you open that can of worms, yeah, I did. Yeah, I don't really. It's. I was just thinking about this the other day. That's why I bring it up. It's like it's just the way we live, right? This is just the way you and I live now.
The
That's it.
lifestyle, yeah.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't have to enter it doesn't have to enter in the conversation. And that's we
Mm-hmm.
go like a lot of people put a lot of pressure on themselves, as we were talking before this thing started. When you start to think about it too much, that in itself becomes its own magnetism, right?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be able to find that sweet spot where, like, let's think of something that I don't like onions, right? So I don't think about onions ever. Do you know what I mean? So it's like that. Like when I started thinking about onions and onions and onions and onions, I'm like, you know what I mean? But maybe I should taste some onions. Putting the pressure on yourself, alcohol, 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 alcohol. Why am I running away from alcohol? It's like I just
Yeah.
whatever. I've finally settled in my soul. Whatever, man. I don't care. I don't care about it. I don't.
Yeah. And I
It
like
took
the
a lot of
fact
time for me.
what you said about AA. So for you guys that don't know, I went to a AA meeting for the first time, and that was 2 days ago, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna go with a friend, but he couldn't, so I ended up going by myself. And the reason I wanted to go is because we have built this amazing community here in Reframe, which is amazing. I consider you guys a friend, actually. We talk every day, guys. Like, seriously, every day we talk. We know about each other's. We know our struggles. You guys were with me when I was in the hospital with my dying father. Like, it was you gave me a lot of like support yourself. And thank you for that, by the way. And I just wanted to also have to see how it is, because I've heard so many people in our community that has gone that say good things. The reason I'm 500 days alcohol free today, yay to me. That's a good one, because now I celebrate by the hundreds. So 500. I'm sorry,
That's
I
how
got cut
close
off.
we are in days. That's how close we are in days of reframe. Because today I'm like almost like I've been on reframe for 604 days today.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So consecutively alcohol
Yeah, we're
free
like 30
for
days apart, I think.
four.
Something like that's very little.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
and that
not
brings another
it's not
discussion. Well, no,
much. But what I liked about what you
there's a
like
whole.
what you were saying is that I don't like labels either. I don't label myself as an alcoholic. I don't see like myself as an alcoholic. I see, like you said, I had an alcohol use disorder because when I did drink, I don't drink one or two drinks. Like, I'm not interested whatsoever in 1 2 drinks. I'm actually interested in having 6 to 10 drinks. To be honest, that was just my
Fuck yeah.
my way of dealing with it. So I totally get it. So when we think about AA, we think about like you are non-functional. The alcohol is everything. Like, you're physically dependent, I have never
Yeah.
been physically dependent. And for those of you, if you are, you need to get medical attention because that is real
Yeah.
and it can cause death even there. So now
So
that
what it's like a short disclaimer, because it's just AA does work for some people and a lot of people. So I'm not knocking it, and I know you're not either. It's like there's a lot of people that we look up to that have gone through that system and are still
yeah.
involved in it.
And actually, it was a good experience. I liked that the people were very welcoming. People did share their stories. And it was, I don't have nothing bad to say. Just the fact that I don't label myself. And I actually said it, I had to say it that day. I'm like, and they were very like understanding. So I'm like, yeah, I cannot do that. Like, just like, I'm
What
like,
I
yeah,
know of what I know of you, I said what I know of you, that wasn't very easy. I don't think, because it goes against your brain. You don't want to say
yeah,
that. No, I don't want to say that. But I have been to those meetings too, just really quickly, and they want you to say that.
yeah.
You got to like you almost if you're gonna share, you have to say that,
And
right?
I
So
did.
I
I
went,
did
well, I'm
say it.
not sure.
I went and I'm Abigail, I'm an alcoholic, and I said it just to be respectful because I was going to share, right? But
Right?
right
Yeah, yeah.
after I said that, right, like after I said, I don't label myself that. I do have a problem because I don't consider myself. So I don't know how they really took it. But they were very like nobody said anything bad. They were very welcoming. So it was a good experience at the end. And they gave me a book. Let me show you guys. It's right here.
Well,
So I
right?
started reading it.
You can't knock. It works for a lot of people, and you can't knock it. That's all I'll say about it. But I went
That's
to
it.
two or
Yeah.
three meetings, and then I went to see. I went to like I saw two or three of my therapists. I've been in and out of therapy for years by choice too, right?
Uh-huh.
Three therapists said no. They asked, they don't even know each other, and they said no. AA's not AA's not for you. You're not physically dependent. You're
Uh-huh.
not like you don't you don't have this unbreakable relationship, not physical, but like not a mental relationship.
Uh-huh.
No, don't go to those. And one guy even said to me, he goes, and not knocking at everybody. I'm not knocking it. Go for check it out for yourself. He
Uh-huh.
said, one guy goes, I bet you went, and the first thing you wanted to do was have a drink after you left. I said, how the hell did you know that? He said, because you were surrounded by people that, are really like they're in rough shape, and they need to find AA to really cut it off because of the physical aspect of it too, right? So it's like the physical addiction, but no, it just didn't work. But what did work, as you're saying, it did work to make me realize that there's still some work to do
Uh-huh.
to get it to, and it's I'm so glad that I found the community that we found. Right, I'm really happy
Yeah.
for that.
We're lucky. How has your social life evolved, since you are in this lifestyle of being alcohol free?
Well, to all you listeners, I'm an entertainer, uh, often on stage in front of hundreds of people, as I just was this past Saturday. Old club, 300 people, all the tables surrounded by, everybody's got clinking glasses on tables, the whole vibe, you know what I mean? And I was a
Mm-hmm.
bartender too for years. So, and I had a bunch of friends there. And I think I shared this story. At the end of the night, did I share this in Polo Land? Maybe I didn't. This is cool. If I haven't, this is the first time you're going to hear it. So I kicked over my water bottle on stage. I have a Yeti water bottle, and it fell off the stage and rolled onto the floor. And if somebody picked it up, and they picked it up and gave it back to me, and I jokingly said, which I do it anyway. It's like, oh, thank God, that's my water bottle full of vodka. Ha 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 ha! Laughter, laughter, laughter. And they understood that nobody would have a full bottle of vodka anyway. But anyway, and then I said, and for those of you who know, I held it up. I went 15 months consecutive. Because there's a lot of people that know who I am because I've been playing with this band for so many years. And they're like, oh my God, what a cool reaction. They applauded the fact that they
Mm-hmm.
knew that I was referring to the fact that I was sober. But at the end of the night, this group of people that used to frequent the bar that I owned, I walked up to them with their friggin' fishbowl sized glasses of wine in front of them. And this judgment that came out of them was insane. They looked at me and go, 15 months, Peter? Really? Really, Peter? 15 months? Why? Like they had that, what's wrong with you kind of way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what you have to? Like somebody said, did you have to? And I actually stood there and said, this is the end of the night, and if I sit down at this table and start talking to you to answer that question properly, I'm going to be sitting here for an hour. But let me put it to you this way. Did I have to? Absolutely had to. And did I want to? Absolutely I wanted to. Well, I also say this is something that you've never heard me say before. I quit drinking or gave up with having alcohol in my life 95% necessity, right? And 35%, 75% necessity, 25% desire, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the equation I use. So like to get it out was necessary, but to sit there and be like, so to answer your question, I don't mind. I can be around it. Doesn't bother me at all. I don't give a flying. Like I'm sitting there in the dressing room and but beside the cooler full of beer, like our rider, and the guys are coming in grabbing the beer out of the
Mm-hmm.
cooler and it's going clank, clank in the ice, and then they open it up with that sound. Hey, oh, how are you doing, Pete? I'm like,
Yeah.
I actually made a mental note going, this is cool because I don't doesn't even phase me. There's not a thought. I'm not trying to justify it. Like some people may not believe what I'm saying, but it's the truth. It didn't even phase me. I don't care. Have fun. Have at it. That's you. Yeah, it's not me. Have at it. Have a blast. But what I do notice, I'm intolerant around people that have had too much.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Yes, I that's my cutoff. I could be like
I
you.
can't.
I could be anywhere with like there could be everybody and their mother can be drinking. That does not trigger me. But the moment that people
Yeah.
start slurring their words or they're repeating, because I was one of those people that repeated herself sometimes, and we all do. That moment,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the time I have
Absolutely.
to bounce, because I don't have no
Yeah.
patience for that. Yeah.
And it's And it is a weird feeling because I feel like I'm being hypocritical, but at the same time, those you're now talking to, you kind of look at like now I'm talking to a person that I used to be, and I'm not going to like that person. So if I don't like me being like that, I'm certainly not going to like being around you. When
Yeah,
you're
typically.
not going to you're not going to remember a freaking thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we're talking about. You won't
Mm-hmm.
remember having this conversation. You are not making any sense really, right? And I don't have the patience to bring you around or keep this conversation in a continuum, like a sequitur conversation. I don't have that patience. You're beyond. So are you. So are you. So this group that brought me to the table, I'm like, I got to get away because if I sit down and start talking to them, none of them, even though they asked me, really, Peter, did you have to? It's like
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty serious question, right? At the end of the night,
That they won't
when
remember.
they're all yeah, yeah, they won't remember. And I'll see them. You know what? I'll see them the next time, and I'll go, I know I will. I said, you bet. And I'm going to say to this one girl that I know asked me, I'm going to say, do you remember the question you asked me at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're half in the bag? No. And I'll say,
Yeah.
that's why I didn't sit down and talk.
And another question now that we're talking about this subject, because I know for a fact that this is one of the struggles that a lot of people deal with in terms of when they are in the considering, right? Or they're on the beginning. That's their, like for a lot of people, that's their main concern. Like, how am I going to be in a social environment? And sometimes it's not even so much just because of the social environment, but the actual reason that who they are when they're drinking, they like it. They like how loose they get. It takes out
Yeah.
all the social anxiety. What advice or tips do you have for people that are having that in their mind, that it's holding them back to start this journey?
So that's a very good question because, something we all had to confront. So I used to think, well, I'm not going to be me anymore. Like just wild, crazy. I'm still like that anyway, but I didn't realize I thought alcohol was like making me fit in better. We know, like your point, like you're illustrating. So how did I confront that? Well, it was an adjustment in thinking, for lack of a better description. It was because I had to spend in the first part of my recovery, and for a lot of people, you cocoon, right? You stay away from society in general, right? I did,
Mm-hmm.
like I would go for lunch and stuff like that, but I just wouldn't put myself in around or near groups of people. I just wouldn't because it also had that social thing. But what I did was I would visualize, I would visualize I would visualize the bar, like if like within the first month of making the complete decision, I had a gig and it was a bar that I knew very well, and I knew I was going to be surrounded by it. And it's like, oh God, this is going to be a challenge. I know it's going to be a challenge. But what I did was I sat back at home. I got in sort of like a meditative state. I don't know if this helps anybody, but like a visualization state. Like I visualized the layout of the bar, right? I visualized maybe just created where customers would be standing around that bar. The sounds of clinking glasses. You know what I mean? I visualized all of it. The aroma, right? The lighting of the room, the sound of murmuring conversations, the people that might bump into you. Like I played all that out in my head. Like, okay, can I deal with that? Can I deal with that? Can I deal with that? And I just came down to absolutely I can deal with that. Because the alternative is participating, and participating is just driving a car into a wall, right? If I was to participate in the environment with alcohol, I might as well just drive a car. So I had that advantage of knowing that it would just end bad. So you call it playing the tape forward, right? But not future tripping. There's a difference. Future trip comes with the anxiety and all that stuff. Playing the tape forward is putting yourself mentally in the environment that may present the challenge. But you also got to be prepared for the questions that are going to come. You got to be prepared to have something, we don't know all this, have something in your hand, have a plan. And the thing that I also carried with me, even though it was on stage, I could leave the stage area and leave the bar area. I go to a dressing room or go outside. I always relied on it. I can just leave. If the pressure comes too much, I can just leave. And if I'm around people that are going to wonder that you're going to leave, the grace would be, you know what, folks, I'm just going to go home. I got to get up early or something like that, right? I'm just not comfortable. I said a couple of times, I'm just not comfortable here. I got to go home. I got to go. So, and I know I've said this in other chats that I've had. I'm a different breed, everybody that's listening. I wear my alcohol freedom like a badge, right?
Yeah.
So when I go out, I wasn't afraid of it. Somebody's going to start talking to me about it. No, I don't drink, right? And that, like in the early part, that was shocking to a lot of people because they only knew me as a partier, right? But no, I don't drink. Well, why not? Why not? But you don't want to get into why not right now. Just I don't drink. It's just I made the decision not to drink anymore. And you just when you stick to it and you hear yourself say that enough in an environment like that, it helps convince yourself. It helps that you can stay committed to the reality of your new life just by
Yeah,
hearing
and I
yourself
also,
say those
when
words.
people hear your conviction, I think that's amazing that you own your story. You're like, yeah, nope, because no, we always hear this. No is a complete sentence. Like a lot of people also struggle with that. Like, oh, what I tell people, listen, it's okay. I heard this in so many different places, podcasts and stuff like that. This is the only poison that we have to really justify why we're not taking it, right? Because if a person is doing cocaine, I don't think, and they say, no, I don't do cocaine anymore. I am 100% sure that nobody's going to tell them, but why not? Why are you not having cocaine?
No.
Well, it's a drug. Alcohol, it's a drug. But with that said, what I'm trying to get at is the fact that just say no. I don't have a problem. People, well, I'm having this podcast anyway, so that tells you a story right there. I don't care about being alcohol free. I never did, but I haven't had that many questions. And I think truly, unless they're my friends, they ask me, they already know. But if not, I think because I just say no and I own and I have my own conviction, people don't have the need to get into the business of as to why. So I just think that, especially for you, you are a singer, you're an entertainer. By the way, guys, you guys have to hear, maybe he sings something before he leaves. He sings beautifully. So that it's talking about having social anxiety of stuff like that. If you can do it, that you are in that kind of lifestyle, that's just to tell you that anyone can do it, right? Because I think that's pretty tough.
Yeah. And I don't want to make light of any of that. Anybody that might be listening and are struggling with it. The quote is actually, alcohol is the only substance that people will give you shit for not doing. Right? It's the only thing. People will give you grief for that. That's that going back to the story I told you. The girl asked, "What, really? 15 months, really?" Like, that's what I meant. It was almost like attitude. What do you mean you can't? It's like, you got to get over that part of the stigma in society. It's a tough one. I know that's why you asked the question. It is a tough one. It's a real struggle, because you know what you do too, folks. And I didn't know this was really what they get at, the neuroscience of it all. People, when they give you sort of an attitude about that you don't drink, they are actually looking in a mirror, right? We've heard that 1,000 times. They're actually, your decision to tell them that you're not drinking and they give you attitude back, or they're uncomfortable with that, they are in that split second confronting something within themselves. This, and like, a lot of neuroscience, like, and a lot of psychiatrists will tell you that. Just have that conversation. Why should you give me grief? Because you could turn it around really quickly on them if you wanted to get into an argument, but you don't want to. 15 months, I could have gone, yeah, why? You got a problem with that? You have a problem that I could have been that person, right? I could have gone, what? You can't go 15 months without a drink? Like, you turn it around on them, it's not going to last very long. Being alcohol free, this is a thing that I really want to convey to a lot of people, and you know this because you and I talk about it. It gives you so much power. It gives you so much strength to know that you've made a clear decision to not have an unclear mind. It gives you, like, you'll have that epiphany of like, holy shit, this is life, man. This is fantastic. This is really great. And it really, I'm not being cliche. It happens. You know,
Yeah,
it's
that's what I say. You trust yourself. It's a beautiful thing to know that when you're in this journey and you go through the hard time, because guys, we're not saying this is rainbows and butterflies. I keep saying that because it's not. At the beginning, you have to go through like a transformation, you know? But once you
it's
go over that,
hard, man.
yeah, once you get over that, that's where we get to where you're saying, like, okay, wow, really? And you start feeling better. You start trusting yourself. You're trying to say, you know what? I don't need that in order to have fun. I don't need that to be who I am, because you are who you are, with it or without it. So I
Serious.
like that a lot.
And you're not.
Now, another question for you is,
Yeah.
in regards to the same subject, have you lost friends? How is that? Or made new friends? How's the friendship department?
I made a ton of new friends. I made you, and everybody that listens to this woman right here, everybody, Abby, is one of the most spectacular human beings I've ever met in my life, and that's the
Thank you.
truth. So
Thank you.
she's
Thank
blessed
you.
to be in my life. That she does this. She's an unbelievable human being. A lot of people look up to Abby, everybody.
Thank you. Likewise, I have to say.
I haven't lost friends. So, to be honest, you've heard me say this in meetings. My band are my closest friends, right? So, and we talk about everything and anything. You imagine, you spent 27 trips across country, across the top of North America. Did I lose you?
I lost you. You said my dear band is your best friend, and then we lost you.
Yeah. So when they found out, like, they've been very supportive. They tried an intervention once upon a time, and all that kind of stuff. But they're happier that I'm this guy than I was still fun. Like, honest to God, it wasn't all darkness when I was drinking. It was still fun. It's like, that's another thing people got to realize. You will mourn giving up this substance in your life. There will be a mourning period. mourning. There will be a mourning period. But all you got to tell yourself is, like, the fucking sun's a lot brighter on the other side. It really is. Every lot brighter. So I haven't lost any friends, and I've gained a ton of friends, and that's the amazing thing. Like, people, like, we talk about Marco Polo, and we talk about Reframe and the connections we've made outside of Reframe. Like, it's incredible, man. Like,
it is.
we go into these little groups and we have these two-dimensional conversations. Like, listen to what I'm saying to this person. This person barely knows me, but now they know everything about me.
Yeah, we do talk about a lot of deep stuff, but it's such a safe place because everybody's so supportive. So I even said one time in one of those meetings, I said, Reframe for me is more supportive than even church in the past,
Yep.
So
Yeah, because
that is something.
there's still a stigma. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a stigma in church, right? You drink too much? What?
Yeah, that's a
But
whole
I
another thing.
think
That's another thing that I'm trying to get at. I've been raised in church, and that's my faith. I believe in God, right? And I do want to get to those people because I know what it feels when you're in that life. I know the condemnation and I hate labels, and I think that's one of the reasons I hate labels. Sometimes when they raise you in religion, even though my dad did a great and amazing thing at putting like good values in, putting the faith and all that, but I don't believe in God just because of my father. I was that rebel. So I can actually sit here at this age and say I believe in God for me, which is huge. But I did go through a period of time, like from my teenagers to my teens, where I had to struggle because in church, that's what you're saying. There's so much stigma. You cannot do this. If you do this, you go to hell. And then that makes you retreat because, like, well, we might as well. I'm going to hell. Let me just go live the crazy life in a way. But that's not the way. Like, I want to get to those Christian women too that might be struggling living. They feel like they living a double life, but at the end of the day, you have to get to the root problem as to why are you drinking alcohol? Why are you trying to do that? Instead of blaming the church or whatever, at the end of the day, guys, it's our responsibility. We're the one consuming this, and we need to figure it out why.
this is it, right? When we're peeling back, when we're in this, we make that decision. We start. I know everybody uses the onion as the reference, but when you start peeling back all the layers, and this is why we all get along so well, because we are talking about the worst of ourselves and we're learning about the best of ourselves at the same time. You know what I mean? Like when we're exposing so much of ourselves, I've seen the real you several times, and you've seen the real me several times, right? But you wouldn't necessarily life and have that experience with somebody. But this journey that's the beauty that comes out of it. And I'm a spiritual person as well. You know that. I'm part of a church, but I have the higher power thing. The book is one thing, the God, the energy, but I believe in the same. I believe in the spirit, as in Spinoza, the philosopher, says God is nature, nature is God, right? The spirit of God is everywhere you turn. And I don't mean that as a preachy person. The sun's shining. I'm talking to you. People are going to listen to this. We're talking, we're thinking, we're breathing. We're able to eat. We're able to talk. We're able to drive to work, make money. We're able to look at the sunshine, smell the flowers, feel all of that stuff is the fucking higher spirit, man. I'm telling you. Spinoza said that God and nature are the same coin. So I believe in it that way. There's a common, and I won't call God a he. There's no way God's a spirit, but I prefer to believe God would be a woman in my world, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, so but you know what? At the end, it's having a relationship with God. I think that's
Yeah,
better
yeah. I mean,
than not having
yeah.
anything. If I had to sit here and say that once I die, I go poof and that's it, I'd be depressed. That's my opinion. So,
No, you don't. Your energy has to go
mhm.
somewhere.
Yeah. So I always say I like living this way. It gives me purpose and hope, right? I think that's a beautiful thing.
Faith it gives you direction and purpose. And faith doesn't mean worshiping the big ghost in the sky. Faith means you have faith in life and nature and reality. And if that's God, that is God, right? And
Yeah, we cannot put
I
God in
believe
one
that is
little box. Yeah, we tend to put him in such
no,
a
no,
little
no,
box, and he's not. Yeah, he's everything, and he's
too
everywhere.
broad. Yeah,
I to believe
yeah.
that. So now that you're in this journey, any plans? What are your next steps? What are you doing?
Well, I get it's odd, I get a lot of, I know I got the coach, I got the certified as the coach, and there's been dabbles here and there. The reframe coaching thing that I just felt that was mishandled by Kevin, and I'm not going to get into that, but that's him. He's busy. I don't know. But then other coaches show up. So I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know, right? So I was supposed to be a coach for the men's meeting. Then a new coach, while I had signed contracts, and he was going to, just like if you want somebody, go out of your way to make sure that you have them to do something, right? So I don't know. And I don't want to think that Kevin is malicious in any way, shape, or form, but that's fine. I get a lot of satisfaction and fulfillment when I talk to you, all you guys, and we get into those groups and we get into our heavy conversations, and somebody reaches out and wants to talk about something particular on solo polos or something, or outside, or text or phone call. I get a lot out of that. But I've helped. Honest to God, Abby, I've helped I've talked 4 or 5 people basically off a cliff from meeting them
Wow.
in the and I keep regular contact with them, people that are people. So what I'm doing with it is what I've learned, what I've been able to ascertain, how that relates in my life, and how I can be of service to people that want to have this conversation or learn more about it, like we're doing right now. I feel fulfilled by doing that. It doesn't have to have a monetary value in it. It fills my cup. It fills my cup to know that I can help somebody through my own experience and through the things I've learned. I'm learning a lot about psychology too, and sociology and all that. I'm able to talk in terms like that. I know I don't have those letters behind my name, but that's what I'm doing. I was thinking about putting myself out there as because I'm a certified personal trainer as well. I was going to do this whole packaging thing, and I still might, you know, um, the workout thing, a workout and a conversation. I'm also had this thought about in Halifax, beautiful walking parks. I was going to put together a sobriety walk or an alcohol-free walk, and just meet up with people and walk, and then stop during the walk, and then have a conversation. And then, I was
Yeah.
thinking about doing that. I'm an actor as well, everybody. So I'm writing. This is the honest to God truth. Just started doing this. I put the idea that I'm writing a play, a one-handed play about mental health issues and society issues and social issues and substance use while going through all that. So it's going to be like a one-act play, and that's all I'll tell you. I have the framework for it, and somebody else and I were both working on it together. So I'm doing that. I've written a couple songs, and I'm going to go in the studio and record, and one of them is strictly about the journey
Nice.
with alcohol. So
Well, I
all
think that
these
you
things are.
definitely should do something because you went through, the being certified, which I think is important because to be a coach, you don't have to supposedly be certified. I think it's a great thing because we need to have a foundation,
No,
right?
no,
Where you learn. I don't think you can just pick up something and just start doing it. I mean, for those I've done it, okay, but at least
no.
for me, I'm not that person. But I think that for those of you that don't know, Halifax is in Canada. So he's from Canada. I think you should do that. I think that's a great idea. Like putting things for people that are living an alcohol free life. The fact that you can go have a walk or do a workout and do all of that, you should definitely really, really look into it because there's people out there looking for that kind of stuff for sure. We just have
Yeah, I was
to
like,
put it out there.
yeah, it's got to. The equation is idea plus action equals result. Idea minus action equals sweet fuck. You're a person that has the idea, then puts it into action. I've done all kinds of things in my life. I've been around the sun a few more times than most people. But it's just to jump back in. Like the plan for the song is, my friend of mine, he lives in the valley here in Nova Scotia, beautiful, picturesque, bucolic country. He put a studio in a barn that he converted a barn into a studio. So we're going to go out there. I'm hopefully going to get 3 songs out of it, and
Nice.
I'm going to videotape little bits and pieces of the whole experience, and then I'm going to try to compile, have movement imagery that goes with each one of those songs. I'm not going to call it a video or a storyboard. Capture moments in time and try to float them in. So I'm putting it all out there in the universe. I'm talking about it. So now I have to do it.
There you go. And I'm gonna hold you accountable to it. I'll be like, Peter, where's the song? Where are the songs? Yeah, do it. No. So we are
You'll know
coming
it.
to an end, and I wanted to ask you one last question for our listeners.
Sure.
What is one piece of advice or just, a takeaway that you would offer to someone who's just starting to consider or they're embarking in their own sobriety journey?
Really tune in to listening to yourself. Find a way. We all know it goes to the right and wrong, the good and bad, the yin and yang. We inherently know if we are good, fundamentally good people, you know what's right, you know what's wrong. You need to, my advice is, listen to your inner monologue. And then through that, you'll gain self awareness. And Abby touched on it, that we talked uh, um, a little bit about it, is trusting yourself. the more you can learn about yourself, because you're going to learn. We got to know that, Abby and I both. You're going to learn so much about
Yes.
yourself. You're going to learn so much about yourself through this, but trust it. When you make the decision, trust the process. Don't ever second guess. You're going to second guess yourself, but don't second guess yourself to the point where you think you're doing something wrong. Learn to listen to your inner voice. We all have that voice. When we put our heads on the pillow at night, we all have that voice that we talk to before we go to sleep. Learn how to listen to it. It's not trying to fool you. It's not trying to take you for a ride. Just know what that voice feels like in your body and learn to listen to it, and then learn to trust it. Then you'll gain unbelievable self-awareness. And once self-awareness kicks in, the world's your oyster when it comes to this journey. Because I'm, like self-awareness to the point I can walk down the middle of a bar and people are drinking all around me. It doesn't faze me one little bit, right?
I love that.
Or people
I love
asking
that.
me, just listen to the inner voice. I talk a lot about inner monologue and inner dialogue. I think I brought it to one of our groups. But just learn how to listen to I'm going to bring religion out. Listen to the righteous within yourself and trust it.
I love that. Well, Peter, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for really, coming here and sharing with everyone that it's listening, because that's paying it forward. That's part of what you're doing, that you're sharing our story. It's really, truly what helped people to know that, hey, you're not alone. We did struggle, but we did conquer. It's an everyday, it's one day at a time. But once you make the decision, everything starts with the decision, right? So I just want to say thank you so much. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to say thank you so much. Thank you for giving me the time and space. I hope whoever listens, we've talked enough of that maybe people can garner something out of it and that can apply to their lives. Don't be afraid. That's another thing I'd say. Just don't be afraid. Like this, there's nothing unhealthy about this decision, so don't be afraid, right?
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, I'm so gracious. I'm so grateful for you, Abby. You're just a wonderful human being. It's so great that you're doing this and you're bringing this out to the community and bringing it out to giving people an option to learn and listen and understand more about themselves. So fantastic.
No, thank you for being here. But you have to sing a song, a little something before you leave. You can't just leave without it.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm 'twas blind, but now I see.
Thank you. I loved it. I loved it so much. Every time you sing, it always put a big smile for me, and I know for a lot of us. So thank you for that. Well, guys, we came to the end of this podcast. Thank you so much. Remember that if you're interested in getting a little bit more support, I am here. I'm available for a free discovery call. I will leave my information in the show notes so you can email me if you're interested in that. And that's it. Thank you so much, Peter. Once again, you're an amazing human being full of wisdom, and I appreciate you so much. See you to the next episode,
Appreciate you.
guys.